Is it co-stream? Is that what I use for this?
You're there now.
Oh, I'm there. Oh, how'd that happen?
I clicked the button.
Oh, what was the button?
The button over here.
Oh, what's the button over here, though?
It's supposed to be co-stream, but it didn't.
Oh, but it didn't work. I didn't push it.
That's why it didn't work.
Oh, that one. The second one? Yeah, I like the dynamics. Yes. And also because, so where is your light is not coming from? Yeah, that. I want to do light from below, and here's the reason why. I feel like when I'm teaching people about light and I do it upside down, I've been told that they because it's not what they're used to seeing. You're only looking at where the light is coming from instead of thinking the light is all around out on top, right? They're actually focused in on the direction of the light because of it. I feel that actually teaches them a lot better. It forces their brain to think differently, which kind of forces, I guess, what they tell me is the memory of it, you know? And then basically all they have to do is turn that upside down, like the right side up, and do it again. So yeah, I really like that one. What color OSL are we working? What is our light color? Is it an OSL or is it
this one, the main light is coming from the top.
Oh, it is. It looks like it's coming from below.
Yeah, but you got an OSL coming from his fist.
Perfect. Okay, so our light direction, we have 2 light directions on that one.
There you go. So from the collar.
Yeah. And that is like energy?
Yeah.
Oh, my guy, that's good. Good. After this one, then I can focus because my guy is where's my whoa. Wait, hold on. I think I'm the screen is
It's not exactly 50-50.
yeah, no, it doesn't need to be. If mine could just be a little bit larger, that's going to be especially with my back the way it is, it's going to be a little bit difficult to stay in that. I can do like, yeah, that'll work. I can do that. Why did you do that? I don't know why she does that. That's so weird. Yeah. Okay, good. There you go, Raven, showing up. Hey, Dee Dee, you made it for once. Oh my God, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. We have, let me see. Now, is Sammini this direction or this direction? This one? Yeah. This, okay. Oh, good. We're always doing that. Put him in there. So here we have Sammini with us today. And he's going to help everybody with we're going to wait for a few people to show up. Some folks straggle in a little bit late. I know that we are starting 30 minutes later than usual. But actually, we don't generally get started until like around 12:30, 12:45. So understand that part for your Q&A at the end is always extended a little bit. So one of the things that's been coming up a lot is the direction of light and how people lose it. And so I had sat with Sammini the other day making mud on my cloak. I was making mud. I wasn't really making mud, but I was definitely losing my light source. I was making, what would you call it, blobby strokes? I'm not really sure. It looked like a pizza dough. And purple pizza dough, to be exact. So Sammini kind of bailed me out of that. And I was like, wow, you guys want to know this because I get asked this question, which is why I'm trying to learn it. So Sammini is here to hopefully give you a better understanding of how to keep that light direction and how you develop, if you will, with your miniatures there. Sammini, go ahead and let them know while we wait for a few people to straggle in, how you determine it and how you line it up like you were telling me how that works.
Hello, everyone. I don't see exactly who's there, but the captain's gonna.
Oh, he can't see the chat. Hang on, and Geek's gonna fix that for you.
I can't.
Oh, we can't. What?
Hang on, I can't. I'll send him a link that will open up the chat.
Okay, he's gonna send you a link, Sammini, and it will open the chat for you on your side.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be much better.
Yeah.
But then also, while you're painting, if people have questions, I will be reading the chat for you. So you can just paint, and if they have questions, I will ask.
It's in his Discord.
Okay, it's in your Discord, he said. Sammini's level of volume is a little low.
Turn up your speakers.
Turn up my speakers.
Yeah, they're hearing them through your microphone, so I don't have to fight.
Oh, that's why I turned it down, was because I talk through my speakers too, don't I know? Okay. All right, Sammini, if you can give us a sound check.
Good. Is
Whoop.
that good?
Okay, try again.
Hello. Is that better? Or is it cut out?
It's better.
It's better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to know is why they can see
I'm
the
looking
whole.
for the link. I'm just not sure if I go out or.
You got that right.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
He's with you. He's with you. He just doesn't answer a lot.
Yeah.
If there's a question, Sammini, we'll read it out to you. Where do you only got one monitor though, right?
No, I got two.
Oh,
Yeah.
we should be able to open the link that I sent you in Chrome.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, you got it? Good.
Just try to find where I put it. There we go. Oh, going back there. There we go.
There we go. Still, wow, man, that panned out view is crazy. Showing the whole back of disarray of the office. Crazy. Yeah, because it's got the whole junk desk in it, and I'm like, wow, what happened there? I know, right? Maybe that junk, the junk. Oh, it's actually how far back it's shown. I'm just like, maybe it's always been that way.
It's always been that way.
Okay.
Usually your googly eyes are in the way.
My googly eyes. Oh yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay, good. We're good. We're good. I am going to give a little bath to my miniature while Sammini gives you some light talk. And Sammini, can you now see the chat?
Yeah.
Excellent. And you guys can hear the Sammini.
Yes, I see Ray that says, yeah, always been like that.
Okay, well, I guess I better straighten up some of that junk area.
Okay. So people are struggling with lights. On your basic light, when you start a figure, okay, I usually what I'm doing is not really, that's my way of doing it. So if you guys have different ways, that's not the same thing that, how can I say this? You do what you're not able to do, but I'm searching for my word. Yeah, what works best for you. Okay, the way I do it is not necessarily the best way, but that's the best way for me. So what I'm going to show you today is the best way that I do it for me. So you can base yourself on that, and then after that you go and do. So today it's going to be big miniature. Those are big bust. Okay. Usually I prime it really black. Okay, that's my first step. Okay, some people like white, some people like other colors. Yeah.
You choose black. I choose black or gray, depending on what I'm doing. But could you give them a kind of a lowdown on why you choose that?
It's really simple. It's because if you go white when you prime, your colors, when you try to mix them, there's going to be a bright side behind them. And when you try to bring really a good light to it, you always better start with a dark background, and then after that you work your way up for your lights. That's the best way that I found, because sometimes if you go gray, you're gonna have a already a tinted background, so your colors sometimes will seem a little bit more dull.
Desaturated, correct?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay.
Desaturated.
Desaturated, right.
Yeah, and when you go with the background black, because what I do, I bring my lights with an airbrush. First, I do appreciating. So when you go with the black, it's easier just to bring your different point of light on your minis
And
with the
then your
white after.
and then your shadows are also already nice
Yep,
and dark,
there.
right?
Yeah, the shadows are already there since you prime it black. So when you do it, after that, it becomes really simple to when you paint. One other thing I try to teach people is when you, let's say this one has been pre-shaded, so you see the difference in different lights. So you got different points of light. I always try to work with 3 points of lights on figures. Okay, so what it does, it brings a really good triangle. So it focuses on the minis. I never do, it's not that I never do, but I try to avoid doing backgrounds because it cuts from the miniature. But when people do background, some people like it. That's the but since I'm usually doing either box art or figures, so they usually just on the figure in it. Okay, so like I was saying, usually I bring my lights with the airbrush, and what I do after that is I will take a picture of it. So I always remember where my points of lights are, because if you look at it, you can see that the main light is coming from this side. So it's going to reflect in here, in here. I always do in trees. So 1, 2, 3. Second light, and the third light is right here. So 1, 2, 3. Is it understandable, or I'm just babbling so you don't understand?
You're never just babbling. So you guys
Okay.
get that? How he lines it up. So this is how he keeps from, you know, we're talking in the future of my master painting. Sammini lines his lights up when he starts so that you have it very good. So you have it in your head, your line of light. And notice that he lines his lights up. And I wanted to share this with you guys because a lot of times I don't even explain that I do that. And the way he does it, I believe, is a far superior attack on your points of light.
Because it's always depending on what you're doing with your minis. If you're playing like 40K or stuff like that, sometimes just a zenithal light is going to bring up your little figures because you're going to see it from far away.
Yes, and let's make that clear also, that Sammini is talking about we today, and I probably should have clarified that. We are not talking about Warhammer painting today. When I am teaching you Warhammer painting, then that is something that I will announce. This is a Warhammer style of painting, which is 360. So you're
Yeah.
walking around that table and you're looking at the mini and you're looking. Okay, that's not what he's doing at all. That's a completely different idea on light and volume, because you're going to be looking always at that. If you put this on a shelf, I'm not saying nobody looks at the back. We all do. But primarily, Sammini has taught me to really bring in that focal point. So this is also a little lesson in focal point. Yes, exactly, Raven. This is display. We are talking about display. Yes.
Yeah. Because when you do a tabletop, what people usually do is they're gonna have it, like the captain was saying, a 360 around it. So when you play it on the table, you use your natural light. But when you paint, let's say for display or for box art or for stuff like that, you really need to have what I call, Captain will correct me, but I call it the money shot.
Oh, it's so nice. We love it. Shh, I haven't told him what it means yet, so you guys can just giggle, okay? I haven't told him what that means in the United States as of yet.
Yeah.
I used to say it all the time, and then Geek was like,
Yes, I'm French, so I don't know all
I
the
like it.
expressions.
I like it. So we're gonna look at a little figure so that you guys can kind of grasp it. I know, right, Dee Dee, right? So this is more, it does have a focal point, and most of his light is kind of right around here, sort of showing off the arm and but if you look at this is a game piece, it's going to play D&D. And so everywhere he is on the table, notice there's a lot more light in his development all the way around, even when you look from the top. So you just kind of see the structure everywhere. So, but this is not a display piece. This is meant to be a D&D character in a game. So it's a different approach. And we're going to start discussing more of that so that you guys can decide what path, or if you want to take them all, that's fine. What path do you want to go down and how you want to develop your personal style? Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that
So
all day.
if you take this guy here, you see that this main focal point is being like this, because all his light, his primary light is here, secondary is here, and his third is here. So that's the way I go with a display piece, is I work different angles. So when you work with it, after that, if you switch it a little bit, you got different focal points, same thing. So you got your first one here and your second one here.
This is my favorite. When he does this, this is my personal favorite. I love how he develops multiple focal points by playing with the light.
Yeah. And if you go from the back, you can see that the main is here. The second one is here. And the third one will be here.
We could also call it competition painting, Raven, should you choose to develop your work to a point of wanting to enter in competition.
Because, and the main thing that if you want to enter competition or just sometimes go into shows and show off your work, you're gonna look all around it. So I got a few people who are doing just the front, and on the back they're just gonna go and spray an OSL just to have something on the back. It's not always good. So you have always to keep in mind that people's gonna go and look 360 on it. So that's a big difference. But at the same time, even though you look 360 on it, you gotta have some focal point. So when you look at it, it brings you in.
I was told by someone who teaches at ReaperCon just make a note of this. When you are creating a diorama, I want you to make a note and send it to me privately because we need to do a course. I want you to remember this to force the picture, the human, the eye, where you want it to look. Sammini does that with every piece of work without ever doing a diorama, but specifically with dioramas because there's not always the the back involved
Yeah.
or the sides or something, right? You want to force the person to look at a particular area. And Sammini does that with every piece of work. That's why I felt you guys joining us for his approach to lighting would, yes, Dee Dee, would force the acknowledgement of how we're going to get our light. Like force the light to do what we want, not what starts happening, but what we want it to do.
And that's the main when you work with display pieces and all that kind of stuff, it's always that's why I'm not playing with metallic paint and stuff like that. I always try to do non-metallic painting because I always try to have the people really bring in when you look at the piece. So if you can put your own light on them, you're going to see that the eyes is going to go and grab really the the main angle of it. I'm going to show you another example that I'm doing right now. This little girl, I know the captain really likes her hair. Okay, that's the same thing. If you look at her main angle, is this one. So your main light is going to be here on the end and right here. So all the reflection are coming from this way. If you turn her a little bit, you'll see that the reflection starts to go coming from this way. And if you go from the back, it's coming right this way. So when you put it on table, even if you go around, you always have a focal point from each side of the figure. So it's better looking like this. At the same time, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to blend all the effect, make it look more real to the eye than just having one angle and that's it.
Yes, most assuredly. And if you guys like, if this turns out to be something you really enjoy, what I'd like to do is at least have Sammini with us a couple times a month. So we can arrange that should this be something you guys are really into. And one of them will be, we'll do a private Patreon one where he can really get involved with. It teaches me, it teaches you. We can get involved in learning his secrets and whatnot. It's a lot different than streaming live.
Yeah.
And I'm in a position where I'm really enjoying my Patreon people time. And so if this is something that really interests you guys, then I'm actually considering just maybe dropping one of the other days and shifting it to a private stream, or at least to the point where we can invite people that show up regularly. Not just the general public gets to come in, but we just kind of pick them out and bring them in. And there's so much red light in here today that look how orange my face looks. Oh my gosh. Talking about light perspective. I saw that you joined us, Wavy. I'm so glad that you made it. We have Master
Hi.
Painter Sammini here. And
How you doing?
do not be afraid, you guys, to ask questions as Sammini is going through the rigmarole. So the first thing that after the light development that we were going to do was block the color. And Sammini actually has a quite different approach than myself to it, but I like you guys to learn all the ways. That's why I go looking and learn all the ways, because there's going to be one way that works best for you. And that's going to make your work excel. So you're going to do better when you find the thing that makes you comfortable. Like, I like Sammini to force me to be like, stop, don't, no, this, that. I like that because I'm a wild horse. I'm just like all over the place. These are really small. Canvases are really huge. But I like you to collect the ideas on the different approaches so that you guys can decide, hey, which one do I feel? Or maybe just that particular piece that you're working on, this other idea is better. And I like to be really open-minded about that. And keeping in mind the way that Sammini approaches the subject of how it's done, like he's telling you, these are the way he does, these are his perspectives, not necessarily the only one.
Here we go.
I like that too. He leaves the playing field open that you can take these concepts and maybe change up on them a little and make it work a little better for you. Like being right or
For
left-handed.
for the basics of putting lights and all that kind of stuff, that's stuff that I discover during the year. But I take courses. I work a little bit with, I don't know if you guys know Sergio Calvo. He's a big name in miniature. So give me some pointers and a few things to help out. So when you develop, but this on bust is really easy to see. But even if you do 75, 77 millimeters or 38, it's the same thing, because when you look at it, okay, take this one. This one is a small one. So as you can see, I apply the same principle if it's small or big or any of them. So always I start with the black base, and then after that, I develop my light. So as you can see, our main light is the money shot, Captain.
Yeah. The money shot.
Funny.
I love it.
So it's right here. Okay. And what usually I do is either I try to have 3 focal points or in lines. Because when you look at things, usually you get either points of lights or you get lines of lights. And when you do either non-metallic metal, you do skin, there's always the same principle and basis is just always you got to follow your light. That's why I'm taking pictures. So if I lose my lines, then after that I can come back, look at the picture, and oh, okay, there's supposed to be more light here, more light here, more light here.
And that's something I have to start practicing, you guys, that I forget. And I will tell you that, uh, you know, recently, because he had, told me, well, take a picture. And so I was working on my bunny bust, oh gosh, I call her Chasing Red, but really it is BioShock, the BioShock bunny girl, this one. Okay. Later, I took a picture after he had said, this might work for you. And when I did, and you saw in the Patreon, I made the little folio for you guys called Chasing Red, right? And that was something to be related to you. I wanted you to see that you are not stuck. Like when you start painting something, you don't like the palette, or the light went wrong, or you're lost. You can find your way out of the woods. This was completely different. It was completely my first thought were completely different colors, a completely different thing, and it just became this because I learned more about the depths, the values, the colors. And then when Sammini had me take a picture, later when I took a picture and I had done the changes that originally I wanted to do, I realized to trust, have a little trust in your decisions because you can change them. Whoop. But now I take pictures. Now I take pictures.
It's always good to take pictures because when you take pictures, you can see the evolution. You can see where you went, when you go wrong, when you go right, when it's good, when it's not good. Just to give you an example, I can show you what I do. Just be okay. I'm just gonna switch my screen here.
Look at you getting all savvy.
I'm gonna show you. There you go. So I don't know if you guys saw Tana, but that's the basic of picture that I do. Can you go? Give me 2 seconds.
Wow.
Knowledge. I'm just gonna bring out knowledge. Or oh, here we go. Necromancer. So that's mostly my reference point. And then after that, you can see that how many pictures I took. So it gives me all the evolution, and when I took the picture, I can see, okay, I did that wrong, I did that wrong, this is good, this is not good. That's a big difference. So you can see all the evolution. Okay, does it look good? Does it doesn't look good? So if you start with, let's say, at the start.
Now,
So
mind you, I
that
want
is going to be the ugly phase.
there you go. I want you guys to understand something very important, not to judge yourself. So when Sammini says it doesn't look good, what he means is he's not seeing what he wants to see. Right.
Yeah.
So don't look at that and be like, holy crap, if I could paint like that, I'd think I was like, when he's halfway done, most people are like, oh my gosh, if I could paint like that, that'd be, amazing. But don't judge yourself, okay? He's talking about just what he wants to see. Where he's going with his journey, he's not seeing what he wants to see. So when he says, yeah, that doesn't look good, he means to his own work on his journey.
So like I was saying, you see that I always start with my pre-shading. That was my first idea on her. I didn't like it. So when I start working and working.
This is a great example.
So you see this, the mapping of the light is starting.
And
so you can see there's drugs, all that kind of stuff. So just flash of paint, like you can see it more here. So I'm bringing my lights back. And at the same time, I can see, okay, it's good, it's not good. That's the right one, that's not the right one. Gonna add shade, play with the colors. So you can see it start from far, far away.
And what I'd like you to take from this is really important. So this is what Chasing Red, what he's showing you right now is what Chasing Red, why I made that little folio for you guys and put it in there. Somebody who paints at the level that Sammini paints and hangs out with you heard the names, right? Now think about that for a minute. Even he changed his mind. He looked at it and he was like, yeah, no, this isn't the road I want to take. And he went back and he took a different road. So don't be shy to change if it is not suiting you, if it's not pleasing you, if it's not going where you want it to go.
And that's another thing, is don't compare yourself to others. And don't try to emulate what you see from other painters. What it does is just you're copying something. You don't, your mind and your vision won't develop as much as if you try to emulate somebody else than if you try to pick up your own style. And that's the main thing, is having, when you get your own style, is not something that you get from somebody else. It's coming from you. So when you paint and develop your style, that's the way to do it. And don't worry, I start like everybody else. I always keep my first.
Oh, he's going to show you his
There you
beautiful
go.
first mini.
Learn the skill and not what they do. And that's the worst thing to do is, oh, I'm not good enough, or I, like I said, I always keep my first mini that I painted from, it's about, I think it's 10 years ago. And I can even show it to you because it's always on display. And that's the first one I get. Oh, here you go.
No. The banana.
See, I was doing what everybody else is doing, just colors and.
The dog needs to go out and needs her afternoon.
I don't know if
Sorry,
you can
guys.
see it. Well, here we go. So that's the first mini I painted.
There you go, guys. Right?
So
We all have to start somewhere.
you start from this, and
Might have been over.
start from this,
Travis.
and you go to this, so you can see the difference.
Exactly. And you know what's
So
interesting? When you develop your own style, like there's many people that I follow, I can see the picture and not see the name and know who
And
they
you know
are.
exactly.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Now, if Sammini posted a picture of that army man, I would not know who that was. I'm just saying. That was a different Sammini. Let me see. I have one of mine at the desk, Sammini. There was a laugh about recently on stream with Raz about he was shocked that the first box set for Warhammer that we bought was the Eldar. I don't know where he went, but it's very not. It's yeah, pretty good. Anyway, I've done too much cleaning, probably got lost in the mishmash of stuff. So let us do some color, and I'm gonna replicate your colors on whichever guy you decide to work on. I'm gonna put the same colors out. So I'm working with the same colors, not necessarily the same idea, but sort of. I see the light coming from the bottom there. Oh, by the back. Thank you. You can, but Raven, I'm going to tell you something that has been suggested to me is not to do that. I was actually talked to by the judges at ReaperCon about that. If I have plenty of work, it might be the exception to the rule. So let's say you had 6 minis that you painted and they kind of all turn out at the same level in the year 2000. And then in the year 2005, you want to pull a couple of those out, but it's very important, they told me, because I am OCD. And every time I see one of my minis now, I want to take it off the shelf and repaint it. And they said, don't do it. You need to leave that there as a reminder so that you can see the progression. And then I was like, well, why can't I just take a picture? And they said, it's not the same. And it's not. It's not. In fact, hang on. The whole reason I reached out to Sammini in the first place in my life is because, to me, technically, combined with his emotional vision, every piece of work that I love the most of his is something usually he's doing for himself. But I think that he is literally one of the world's greatest painters. And I have looked at a lot of pictures of painters and watched a lot of YouTubes and seen I know there's these very, very epic that Sammini would consider way beyond him. To me, through my eyes, I was like, Sammini's in my top 5 in the world. Then this showed up. Anybody recognize it? And I'm going to tell you, when you look at people's work online and then you get to see it in person, it is so much better in person. It's mind-blowing. Her index finger broke off in shipping, and we're looking for it right now in the studio. I just can't even believe it. We had a guest over last night, Sammini, that was just like, oh, I said, oh, look what I got. And he was like, holy shit. I said, told you he was good. Just and so right, like right now, it's better when you can see it through the camera live than it is photographed. I just, I choose to think of it like going on a new adventure instead of repeating an adventure, unless there's some reason that I need to repaint a mini. Perhaps somebody has one and it dropped and broke, and we got to put it back together. I don't know, but I got to tell you that this is truly one of the very finest works of art. All the art in my home, in our home, is originals, all of it. And this is out of all the pieces that I have, now Geek's going to argue this because he's going to choose also Soulmates, which is a picture I painted. So if we include Soulmates, okay, and be fair about that, I probably have 100 pieces, not all miniatures, all different kinds. I'm going to say definitely top 5. I've got a few pretty excellent pieces, but this is my very, very first completed 3D miniature, as in like that came to me. I mean, I own members of we're talking display, like we're going to display art. Actually, Wavy was first. But Wavy, while you're out there, does your character represent you on the boat? Or is that homage to my father and that is a display piece? Because then Wavy would be first if that's a display piece. And I have a perfect place for it upstairs in the dining room. I was telling Sammini that there's this box that it's a frame. And it's maroon, and it hangs on the one finished wall in the dining room. And that's where she's going. So that. All right, let's get to colors. Let's color. Oh, Geek found my eyes for me. I'm going to turn the blow dryer a second under the desk as the crack is dry. Hopefully you guys can't hear that too bad.
Okay, so for the little experiment of light right now, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna work a little bit on this guy. So a lot of people usually do paint minis separated. In the opposite, I usually try to paint them mounted, but sometimes it's impossible if you want to get the right effect, or there's some place you won't be able to go. So in those times, like this one, because this one is different, I just blue tack
That's a good trick.
the pieces. So when you paint it, now I have access to all its different surroundings on him. So what we will do is just a little bit of skin, and the start of his going under the chin. And since it's a big piece, so it's going to be easier to follow. Here we go. So you see that you got a little smirk. So like the captain says, if you got any question at all, don't be
Yes.
shy. Go ahead.
I am.
So on the yes.
Go ahead, Sammini. Sorry, go.
So on the palette right now, I got my basic colors for the skin. Usually people work with very clean, very clean palette. I don't. I like to mix my colors, so that's what usually my palette would look like. So that's why I always keep it pretty close to me. And since I'm old, I need always my eyes.
Gotta throw that in there, don't you? So if you guys have any question, then I'm reading the chat. So Sammini goes and he gets lost in the work, and that's cool. But if you guys have any questions, he loves questions, and I will be reading the chat as we go along, and you guys can feel free to ask questions as we go.
And just before starting, we're gonna chat a little bit about paint. Okay. Depending on the paint you use, sometimes Vallejo, from my perspective, what I use is Vallejo, Chimeras, and Green Stuff World. Why I work with those is just because of their pigmentation. I tried a little bit other stuff, but like I was saying earlier, work with what you are used to. If you paint with Game Workshop, paint with Game Workshop. If you paint with scale 75, paint with scale 75. That's the main thing is have fun with your paint. Learn to mix them. Learn to, because you always I got myriads of colors that I can choose from. And usually I will go to those when I finished or I want a specific color. Other than that, that's it. I mix, I play with them, and that's how you're gonna be able to see more in your painting, because let's say I take, let's go back to this guy. I could have just painted brown, and then after that, add a little bit of shadows. But as you can see, when I mix my colors, you can see reds, you can see blue, you can see green, you can see brown, you can see purple. So all those colors, when you look at it mixed together, it gives a more alive color and just having the main color.
And that is because of ambient color, you guys. It's one of the main things when you look at your work and you are judging yourself and you're like, why does my work look flat? It's not just where the light is coming from. It's not whether, sometimes it's not whether or not you have developed enough shadows, even. A lot of times it's because ambient color is getting forgotten. And if you look around you, you look at anything, you'll notice that the colors that are around you, even like these black arms, for example, that hold the camera and the microphone, they're black, but it's beige. And then we have the screen reflecting like rainbow over here on this side. I've got green and purple. This one's got pink. And so you can see those colors in the black. And if you keep that in mind, that's called ambient color.
Right. And always remember that everything is reflecting on everything. So even if you do skin tones and your miniature, you imagine it in a forest, you're gonna have to bring some greens in it. If you do air and it's, let's say, fabric near it, or just the skin's gonna reflect on the air. It's the same thing. It's always a way of playing with reflection, light, and shadows, and that's the main point. I gave an example to the captain the other day when I was showing her this.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, when you look at this angle, you can see that you got the reflection of the skin right here. On the inside, you got a reflection of the skin. On the other side, you get a reflection of the air right here. But when you look at it, you don't really see it, but it just gives, now that I've showed it to you, now you're going to see them. But
You will.
if I didn't told you that there was a reflection purple here or green here, it looks more natural.
That's my single favorite painted hair on planet Earth, by the way, right there. I mean, I love teal and purple together anyway, but and so he took two colors that I am in love with together and made hair. And honestly, that's kind of how I imagined at one point my BioShock bunny's hair, but it just did not, that palette did not work. But I'm going to go back and choose another miniature and paint her hair that color because that is, to me, that hair is pure magic. Doesn't the hair just look like magic to you? Like it has like silken glow and like the hair itself is actually magic. I love it.
And that's one point too. When I teach how to paint hair, I always try to, because people usually what they do is they are going to try to do the trends, all the small hair, and when you look at it, it always look weird because when you look at real hair, what you got is really, it's tufts. So if you look at this one is just one big tuft, another one here, another one here, and then after that you bring your lights in. Gonna, there
So
you
he's kind
go.
of painting them as a, like hair is kind of like a section, so to
Yeah.
speak. See, like there, it really is. It's sort of, that's a messy bun, but I mean, even if you look at the bangs, it's not like, you know. Somebody was telling me to look at advertisements for shampoo so that you
Yeah.
can see how the ribbon, a ribbon of highlight is on it.
because it's the same thing. You always, when I was talking about points of lights and lines of lights, that's where you see the big difference because right here, you got points of lights, you got our forehead, you got here, here, here. And when you look at the hair, it's just a line. It's a line like this. There's a line here. And that's what makes it look more natural because the reflection of the air is always a line instead of just points of light.
So I see brown on your palette. So I've got the blue, the purple. Oh, I don't have the plain red. I see the oxide, yellow
Okay.
and gold, but oh, so you mixed that brown. That's in the middle. You mixed that one, right?
Yeah, those ones are mixed already.
Okay. Right.
Right
So the
here,
oxide.
you got red oxide.
Okay, got it.
Okay, you got the yellow ochre.
No, I forgot that one. Okay, that's always, we always use that one too. I can't live without my yellow ochre. Okay.
The white.
And the white. Yep, got it.
Okay, those are the basic colors. After that, I'm gonna add a little bit of purple or anything like that, but for the main basic skin colors,
Oxide ochre white.
yeah,
For those of you
go.
guys that are not familiar with the term, if you are not familiar with the term or the base color, red oxide by Chimera, it is a more to the red side brick color. So some companies call it adobe, some call it terracotta. So that's what you're looking for is a hold on. It looks a little orange actually in my camera. It's much more brown than that. That's a bad example on my camera because my camera has too much red in it. Hold on. There you go. There you go.
If you go with Vallejo, you should go with, oh, give me 2 seconds.
Yep, burnt red. And colors that basically it's just a much more red brick. So it's not so I find terracotta sometimes to be a little desaturated. Desaturated. Yes. Yeah, I think that's the right word. Yes. Because it looks like it has white in it. So you want to get one that has as little of that grayish white appearance to it and more purity to the red, the brick red. All right.
So
I
as
don't
you can
suppose
see,
gonna
you
keep
start
going.
with the red oxide, yellow ochre, you add white to it, and the more white you have, the more pale skin you're gonna get. And yes, I drag other colors in it, but it's just me. Okay, so for a start, so as you can see, you already have your main light on top, and that's an exaggerated light that will be coming from his collar right here. Okay, so when I start a basic sketch, I usually go with a dark color up to the brightest, and sometimes it became too brightest. Don't worry about it. That's completely normal. Because after that, when you come back with different wash, you bring your light down a little bit. Just gonna get this correctly. Here you go. So, and my paint is usually really thin because one thing I like with acrylics, it's very transparent. So the more you thin, the more it's transparent, and the more it's gonna keep the differentiation between all your light that you already put on it. And then after that is just a question of adding a little bit of color on it.
And you got to be careful with the thinning on some of those brands, you guys,
Yeah.
because it actually will end up breaking your paint. So, in doing that, you do want to pay attention to that. You know, what brand you're using can make a difference as how thin you can get it before it ends up actually breaking. Chimeras don't have that at all. I have been able to thin it 100, like just to nothing but dirty water and never have that problem.
And it's always a question of pigmentation. The more pigment you have in your paint, the more it's going to be sustained.
Okay. I'm going to go real harsh on the line. Okay. That's going to be the first one. This is going to be the view we want. Secondary one. So that's this direction. This one's going to be this direction.
Another thing too is when you paint either
Okay.
fabrics or skin or anything that you paint, you always need to have a direction
We're going to
when you
really,
push or pull your paint. That's gonna help a lot on your miniature because when you give a direction to your paint at the same time, it gives more, can I say, more,
depth.
it gives direction. And it's hard to explain when you do it every day because you're getting used to it, but it, it's either fabric or skin, or you just take the skin and you got muscles underneath it, and all your muscles are covered with the skin. So they all interrelated. So they all comes together. But if you, let's say, when you look at just as it's frowning right here, because the guy is frowning, and instead of taking, let's say, I'm gonna try a little bit lighter just to show up. Okay. When I paint, I'm gonna try to bring my paint in the direction of the skin. So I'm gonna pull it this way. Instead, if I get, let's say, the jaw, if you go and you paint the jaw, the direction of the jaw, like all your muscles are going that way. But if you paint it, the muscle is supposed to go that way. But if you paint it like this,
Right.
all your paint is going to be just looking weird because you're not on the good side and it's not following. If you do fabrics, it's the same thing. When you do, let's take this one. When you paint fabric, right now it's a sketch. So you can see that I'm following the line of the fabric. Because if I try to
Yes, Raven.
go the other direction, it won't make sense to your eyes. And you're gonna get all mixed up. So now we're just gonna correct this.
Now, what I do when I'm doing this sketch situation, because I've had to. So I'm compulsive blender, really bad. Somebody has to tell me stop blending all the time. And I'm like, I'm not blending. He goes, oh no, you are. You're starting to blend. That's the start of the blend. And I'm like, I thought to myself at first, how does he even know what I'm doing? And then I realized, well, I was doing it again. So I developed this super sloppy, and I start with the gray, the black, and the white now. Okay. I zenithal with the brush, or in this case, zenithal with the airbrush, or in this case, I'm using a dry brush technique, right? Which I've shown you guys many, many times. And what I do, I find that the airbrush is definitely, if you've got an airbrush and you want to attack it, this is where you learn it. But then I go back in and I pick back out my shadows with like a super dark gray. Some of the areas that I might have got, like, say, too much highlight on, and I pick them back up so that I can sort of separate things a little bit better. And it helps me to understand where I'm going with it, because I have a trouble losing my light as well. You guys, it happens all the time. Like, I've got 3 different lights, and what I'm doing is coming back in and then picking up the areas that the dry brush might have got a little bit excited with, and making sure that they're blocked into the shadows properly, so that when I start, I've got a better idea of what I'm doing. Because there's areas we are not going to want, those highlights to be. And granted, we can come back and fix that later if you're not a person to get lost. I just get lost, and then I start blending thinking that's the answer.
And it's
And
not.
no, no, he's right. I mean, he's sometimes he'll just sit there and have a cigarette and watch me do it. And I'll look over and kind of see this look on his face, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing it again, aren't I?" And he's like, "Yup." Damn it. So when I do this, though, I will definitely come in like real strong with them, so that I can find my way. It's kind of like laying my little breadcrumbs, I guess you could say. And then I will come in again with the dry brush. But sometimes I can get it good enough when I do this that I can start with my color, which always makes me really happy. And I just use a really dark gray to do this, and then I'll come back again. Sometimes I use a little black, like to pick up in the areas here so that I can kind of keep things separated. This is a messed up, so you guys know. It's not that I deliberately didn't clean it, because it's a failed print, but the front is not failed. So I thought it would be a really good place for learning, um, and showing you guys a few things, because the front looks real good. It's just the back is kind of having some trouble there. Didn't turn out. Up means black, white, black. back in here.
Also, one thing that
Top room is ringing.
when you paint that can help a lot of people.
Timer on top room is ringing.
When you paint, always choose an angle and work on that angle. So after that, work on the other side. After that, you work on the other side. Main reason being when your light is reflecting at one point, you kind of bring all your little lights and all that kind of stuff together on one point. And then after that, because your point of entry is not going to be the same that when you look at it this way, it's not going to be the same for this way.
That goes back to that part about like the direction of the jaw, sort of, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's all that's coming in together. So right now what I'm doing is just a really rough sketch of what I want for my light. Another thing is look at pictures.
Yes, reference art. We stress that a lot.
Try to find sometimes just even if it's not a picture, sometimes it's just a piece of art of one artist that you're gonna look at and you're gonna find that sometimes when you look at it, there's something that's gonna click in your head.
I find I do that for palette, you guys, for finding the palette, like what colors do I think I like, and then what I'll do is I'll go online and find a piece of artwork, whether it be a photograph, a painting, whatever, and I use it as my palette because I'm looking at the picture and I like that palette. So chances are I may like it on what I'm doing. Also, if you guys are making really fine glazes and you don't want to desaturate colors, I recommend keeping a separate rinsing cup when you've got a brush that's got a lot of white on it. If you're going to make really thin glazes, then oftentimes that white can get transferred over into your thin glazes and create an opacity that you may not have wanted. A desaturation, opacity. White is extremely like metallic, being kind of toxic to your water. That's why I use 3 rinsing pots and a separate mixing cup. Cup is just for the thinning of the I think I see this color on his palette. Pretty sure it's
Sorry, I'm blurry. Okay. Oh.
although I don't have that color.
So now, as you can see, that's a very basic light sketch done very quickly, but I always work like that. I'll start with my main point of entry. So as you can see, go. Is it still blurry or is it good? Thank you. There you go. So you see that my line of light is right here. Like I was saying to you, see that I work just that side yet. So when I start with this one, now I can develop all around it and coming back and forth with developing different kind of skin texture. Yeah, here you go, one view at a time. It helps keep your points of entries when you're talking lights in one place. The thing that people have tendencies to do is painting everything at the same time. So when you play with it, what it does is you lose your main focus. So what happens is, like I like to call it, 40K painting.
Yeah, he calls some of my work Warhammer painting. He tells me, "Oh, if I want to join a competition with that for Warhammer, it would be good." And I'm like, "Oh man, not what I was going for."
So once you get the basic skin here, like I was telling you, what I do is I want to have my color having a blue light.
Oh, good. I chose kind of blue skin, more purple really, but we'll see.
So the reflection of the blue are going to be in the opposite way of my skin. Sometimes you can cheat on the color just to add up a little bit more. So you got one light coming this way, and you got one light coming from the bottom. And at the same time, like I was saying, when you with skin most of the time, it's always just a matter of putting the right light in the right place, and sometimes you don't have to do that much work to get it right. Focus it correctly. There you go. So you can see now that he got a little bit of smurf. And when you look at it this way, you see that the lights are coming down on him like this. Any of you got a question? It's a very quiet crowd.
Oftentimes on these days they are, because they might be painting along. They might be focusing on like what's being talked about. Sometimes you get that real bit of silence.
And I will share with you guys one of my little secret is when I wash my paintbrush, my paintbrush cup has a sponge in it.
I have a paper towel that I draw all the extra paint off on every time.
Oh, it's just because when you just squeeze it with water, after that you can clean it really good on the sponge at the same time. And then after that, I goes on the
That way you get the excess water out of it. We've talked about that, you guys, where that can really ruin it for you. That little bit of excess water, if it runs down your ferrule and gets especially when you're doing something detailed and it gets onto your paint job, it just screws everything up.
and the thing that destroying a lot of paintbrush is when your paint's getting in just in the ferrule right here. So that's the main reason why I have a sponge in my cup is that you can really multi-brush rinse pot with always sponge in. There you go. So now you can see paint dries. As the paint dries, you see that it start coming in together, even though it's just a 3 stage right now. I know it's a rough face, but
You know what I have a hard time with a lot of times in the development stages is mixing the medium color that not when you have your shadow, second shadow, and then highlight, second highlight. But the colors in between those, man, I gotta mix and mix and mix to get that right.
but one of the thing I do, I always work with triads. I got, let's say you got your shadows, you got your highlight, and you got your midtone, and you mix them always by 3 colors. And then after that, you can go back and add up if you need to. But usually, just with 3 colors, usually you'll be able to bring everything together. It's like what I did on the palette. I don't know if you can see. Here you go.
Oh, you mean for the first sketch?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what I should do then is reduce the palette.
So you got one color here. You got the red
Yep.
oxide,
Uh-huh.
yellow oxide, and the
Mhm.
white. And what I do is I bring all of them together. So I thought from one point, mixing them up.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
That all your midtones are here. So you just go back, take a little bit, paint it up, go back, paint a little bit lighter, go lighter. So, and that's the thing. Sometimes people try to make too much colors, but just usually with 3 colors, when you start with 3 colors, you always try to have your shadows, mid-tone, and light, and mix them up.
Yeah, I lose my shadows reg to that. More like that. Uh-oh. My scrolling stuff. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am so sorry, you guys. My scrolling quit. Hold on. The screen flat. Very helpful. Okay, tiny bit blurry. Yep. One view at a time. You're all listening. You have captions, multi-brush, rinse spots. Yes, right? Always sponge. Good job. And a towel. Very good, Raven. Oh, you're such a good student. You seriously are, girl. Yes. So I had one actually that I kept on my wet palette. So I would take out of my rinsing and then put it on the wet palette. So now what I have is I also have the soap behind the pot, and so occasionally I will just clean the brush, and I have a separate pot that I use for that. So there's a total of 4 pots on my desk. Um, I'm actually working on designing a little something to drop in the bottom to help cleaning your bristles. It's not that little rubber disc that gets away from us. Oh, you're painting. That's good. I'm glad to hear that, Josh. Well, I'm so glad that you could make it today. It's really nice to see you out there. Yes, that's really good. So I will probably cut sponges and put them in mine then, so that until I get that cleaner completely developed, the concept, I generally do take off the excess on the paper towel. It's kind of a habit now because what I want, as you guys know now, Sammini does not use any medium in his paint. Now, I don't know if there'll ever come a time when I don't. Okay, I'm just saying. That may or may not become a thing for me. I really like it. I've been using it forever, very small amounts of it in my, my little cup that I use. And that's after rinsing. Then I take the excess off on the paper towel, and then I go into my medium or my medium mixture, which is the distilled water and uh, uh, retarder. I'm looking for the word there. And that's just I I like it that way. So I don't know if I will ever come to the point where I change that or not. I mean, it could happen.
But it's not a bad thing of having different mediums in your having retarder or it's just that I'm so used to not having nothing, but
Right.
sometimes I try them on. So at some point, I sometimes I use retarder. Sometimes, if you want to do a wet blending, it's a good thing to use retarders. Or if you want something really, really matte, adding matte medium. If you want to have your paint just stir a little bit more.
Oh, Dee Dee, you are so welcome. Um, I was honored when I found out that Samini would come join us here because he is my sensei and where a lot of my um okay, so I'm not going to insult myself or my training, my art in the past. What I'm going to say is that a lot of it needed fine tuning to get what I wanted out of a miniature because I just didn't understand how to get the knowledge and get the miniature to do what I wanted. And he was the first person that um, really got through to me the dynamics, I think, of the miniature and the world around us. And his miniatures. One of the things that I didn't think about until I guess it just dawned on me one day when I had a miniature sitting beside me in the front room. These miniatures are in a miniature world, but they are in a miniature world in a big world. So when you start making their shadows and their dynamics, you have to stress the factor to put them into their miniature world because they are then exposed to our big world. So improper lighting, too much ambient light of different colors, putting your shadows on too large because it looks like maybe that's how it goes because that's what we see all the time. Really having to reduce the thought on that. And when I saw Sammini's work, and it was very not Warhammer, and it looked like these people lived in a little world. Like they looked like they were going to step right off the screen and onto my desk. I was like, OMG, look at this guy. Look at that. And it just overwhelmed me. You remember, if you were there when I met Bronze Archer? She blew my mind. Her ability with physical drawings as well as digital drawings is just off the chart. She just has this passion for it, and I just love it. I love it. There's something when I can almost feel like the person is connected to the artwork. But it's that bringing the brain down to realize these guys are really small. They need their dynamics to be brought down to their size. And I had a lot of trouble with that myself. I'd laugh I'd share that stuff.
Okay. So for those wondering what I'm doing, so right now all the faces that I do, I usually separate them with three colors, either skin or so it looks more natural and you got tints on it. Okay. So I divided them in three. So I got the top in yellow, the middle in red, and the bottom in green. Just with a little bit of wash. So what it gives is because when you look at someone, you always have the light reflecting, either the sun or anything like that coming from the top. Where the skin is more thin, you're always going to have a reddish hue to it. So that's why when you look at a picture, usually people got cheekbones, round the eyes. So it's always a little bit more reddish. And at the ears, if I can just focus correctly, that would be nice. And I know I'm not an example, but usually you always have a little bit of a, what I think they call it, the morning shadows around your jaw for
Oh,
men.
for men, that is the 5 o'clock shadow.
5 o'clock shadow, there you go. And even when I paint females, I usually go with a little bit more bluish tint around the jaw, even though women don't have beard, but it always kind of reflects what they got.
The skin is more like when you wake up in the morning on women, oftentimes it's more red around the eyes and around the chin.
So usually I'll go for female, I will go a little bit more purple than red.
Right, right, right. Well, right.
So you can see just with a quick sketch, if you look at him like it's supposed to look at him.
See, look how good that looks already. Oh, yep. I'm really, really slacking here. But look at how those colors come together. And sometimes, those colors, I remember using them in oil paints. I would have never thought of using them in the acrylic. until I got Chimeras, and that definitely changed.
So when you look at him from the angle you're supposed to look at him, you see that it makes a little bit more sense now.
Every
Stop
time,
blending.
man.
So, and as you can see right now, it's just sketch. There's no blending at all in it.
And I try not to blend, but I don't know if it's that I'm working with such thin layers or what. Mine always comes out smooth. He'll get me like, "You're blending again." Oh no, no, I'm not. I'm really putting stripes, but not okay. I did better down here. Okay, that's more stripy. Let's try to. um, I have to actually, for me, you guys, to get the sketch effect going on,
Yes.
I can't use very thin layers. The thin layers, or maybe it's because I'm coming back while it's still maybe a little bit wet, and so they end up kind of uh meeting each other halfway, so to speak. So I have to kind of do a little less thinning of the paint in order to get sketch effect. I gotta put it just a little bit drier than I normally do. Otherwise, yeah, I'm I'm a goner. Now I'm hoping in the end for more of a purple skin, really, or gray. Be great. You must be doing it right. There you go, Josh. Because when you get to the ugly phase, you know you're doing good. Well, good afternoon, Chris. Coming in from work. I try to get these in between tones, the mid tones, and I kind of suck at it. Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys, it takes me a lot. Like when you see me online, a lot of the stuff that I get done quickly and the way I get it done is a little bit more unorthodox in my painting style. A lot of times too, somebody will tell me, "Oh, what is that shadow doing there?" Because I'll put a shadow in a place like where the light is coming from that it's not supposed to be. I'm really trying diligently like not to do that anymore. And it takes a little bit of practice, just to let you guys know. Patient with yourself. If you get those shadows in the wrong places. I think a fun thing to do would be to have Sammini come in of a day, like let you guys know way in advance and have him come in of a day and you can photograph your miniatures and we can do a gallery and then he can go through and kind of point out what will make it go the direction you want it to or where your shadows, highlights, whatever are failing you. Notice I don't say you're failing. The shadows were failing, right? I'm gonna see. You only painted one side of the face, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. This is really gonna be hard. I just don't know if I'll be able to duplicate it when I get there. I'm gonna try. Okay. Now, I think really I am missing magenta. I can't even handle not painting without. So now you are making layers of young tones, right? And
Yep.
working them down, up from the shadow and down from the highlight, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see that. Oh, painting cricks. Wow. Long time no see, mate. How are you? Let's see if we make the tiniest fin of magenta. Because we're aiming for that bluish skin. Let's make it a little bit purple, more toward red purple, and see if that will change. And I'm just gonna put this like around the mouth and the chin. But it's really weird doing this one side. Like I feel like I'm getting this all wrong. I almost can't stay off the other side. So we are here today with my sensei, Sammini. He's a well-known and accomplished master of mini painting. And I thought I'd have him in to maybe help everybody understand light and shadow a little bit better. We did a little bit of that also last month from a different perspective, which was Pascal Rude. And that turned out to be really, but I do spend a lot more time with Sammini. Well, I suppose that does look a little more purpley gray, like oh, yep. When it looks like this, starts to get to that stage where it's just not looking right. Or probably, well, I would say that the paint gets to this certain point where I'm a little concerned about whether I'll be able to paint my way out of it. Yeah, that oh, whoa, for me, really, really difficult.
That's the thing is that when you see a lot of people who are doing extreme blending and everything is smooth and but at some point doesn't seems right. Yeah, yes, it's nice. It's all blendy. It's all really nice.
Smooth,
Yeah, but it does
smooth.
natural. It does it more. It looks more like a puppet or a
It does. It looks more like an illustration from a book than a 3D mini,
yeah.
which originally was what I thought I wanted my painting style to be. And then I met this guy named Mini. Now, I was kind of going like Sam Len's beautiful work, and he does more of a like a Frazetta style, and it's like a hard rock sort of style. And it's a little bit painterly. I like it. And it was a fairly I wouldn't say easy to wrap my mind around, but it was definitely I could wrap my mind. Reminds me, wonder where Dave is. Make sure my scrolling is working. Okay, my scrolling is working. dark.
Okay, so now you see a little bit more of what I did. So it's still a sketch, very basic.
Let me see the
But
side you're not working on.
more. Hmm?
Let me see the side you're not working on.
The side where I'm not working?
I thought you weren't working on one side of his face.
No, I didn't work on this side. I didn't
Okay.
work on this side.
Okay. So I didn't work on this side. I worked on that boob though. Because you know me and the boobs. If I don't do the boobs at the same time, they're not going to come out the same color.
Yeah.
That's just me, you guys. You can ask Sammini. I had one purple boob and one brown boob. Then I went back and did it again. And I had one blue boob. And no, not me. My mini. My mini had. And he's like, well, I don't think the breasts are the same color. And then I painted them again and they were the same color. And he goes, then they were flat. So I got to paint the boobs at the same time. If I don't, weird boobies. Okay, so I'm just working on the one side. Perhaps if I do the eyeball area and do the liner, it will help me see what we're doing here. Okay, that's a little better. Let's just make the eye black. Wait, go. That helps me. Oh, because she doesn't look half bad with black eyes. Okay. Think I lost some of my light.
Mine's still blurry.
Um,
There you
oh,
go.
see, yours got a lot of good lines in their face. I think maybe, okay, I'm gonna correct your eyeliner here really quick. Then maybe I'm missing um the proper amount of shadows on her face. That is, oh, let me put my eyes kind of small. Let me put my hood on here so I can get the eyeliner because that looks really weird. Well, you can't make a proper.
So now, as you can see, a little bit more of advance on working on the skin. So you can see I still got the yellow right here, the red, and the green. But as you can see, just by working a little bit of the midtones, start to come together, and he looks a little bit more alive than a weirdo. Like I was saying, right now we're working this angle. So when you look at him, you're gonna see him like this. So his main light are concentrated right here. So that side is not done yet. And even when you look at him that side, you can see it's not done. But when you look at this side, you see it make more sense.
Oh, okay. That's shadow. And that's
So you guys have any questions so far?
Okay. Straight beeline on that light. Now that made the eye look better because the eyelids weren't weird. You're a yellow boob and a blue boob. Did you do it that way on purpose though, Josh? Did you just make her like if she had woad on one boobie, was that on purpose or are you just trying to make me feel better? I fixed the boobs. You guys saw them earlier. My boobs look great. I mean, my Minnie's boobs look great. Okay. Yeah, that's just killing me right there, Sammini. Okay. I am starting the palette over. I'm working for gray blue. Purple in the shadows is okay. Gray blue though, like not like that beautiful pretty purple skin that you had on that gal, but like a grayish, bluish kind of dead thing skin. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer palette. I'm gonna clean the palette. So I'm gonna make a second because I think I have mixed too much in one area, and what it'll end up doing is going. I'm so aggressive that I will go right through the paper. So I'm gonna take it. I mean, I could keep the same colors. You know, both statements are true. Thank you. You took a lot of notes. That's good, Dee Dee. So Dee Dee, in reference to the wet blending, I would like very much that because we're supposed to get together to eventually to do some training, and I would like very much that this was more of the style that you learned. Wet blending has a place, and I can show you those places, especially dude that big stuff you work on. Yeah, these little tiny mini strokes trying to work on those giants that you work on, and those are that we speak of our Warhammer Sammini. They're big Warhammer titans. They're huge, like 24-inch tall. So in that world, and he does a lot of this very small freehand design on it. In that world where you're going to want to get those blends, learning this, I will show you where wet blending comes in really handy. And one of the places that wet blending comes in super handy, you guys, is if you want to speed paint guys, or you're doing something for an above tabletop level for like D&D characters to sell them and what. I can't say that Sammini does a lot of painting like that. Pretty sure every cake he bakes is a wedding cake. All out. All out. Even if you saw he has like 2 or 3 pieces. Actually, Sammini, I did want to talk to you about that Warhammer piece that you have, because I really felt like it would be something that everybody would super duper enjoy. And I wanted to know, like, maybe if you wanted to do a dual stream or something like that when you go to do that, and because I have a lot of Warhammer to paint, and we'll do red metal, we'll do red non-metallic metal together because I do love to have my hand pushed in non-metallic metal, and I'm actually better at colors than I am at, like, if you say paint me non-metallic red, paint me non-metallic blue, and like Sam Lenz kept telling me, it's the same. It's gray.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. I start painting gray and I don't know. I get stifled by it. But I think that would be a great co-stream if you want to do a co-stream.
Yeah, sure.
Of the red non-metallic metal. You're painting OSL underlit fire. Oh, yeah. I was actually talking to Sammini about doing some underlighting. Well, this guy, no, yeah, this guy is with the arms. He actually does have underlighting, so it's going to be like really cool as it develops. Where are all of my freaking ugly brushes? Take off to. Okay, I'm going to refresh the palette. So it is officially 241, Sammini. If you want to take this over to the Hangout, 100% you can if you want to continue painting. If you want to be done for the day, then, but that's totally up to you. I'm gonna take a small break, you guys, and then we're gonna reconvene in about an hour, just enough time to maybe get a little something to eat, take the dog out, and set up for the Hangout, and we can continue in there if you guys like. And you guys, any questions that you may have, look how good that looks. Just at that point, and that's not even done. And that's what I'm talking about, Dee Dee, with the blending being done this way, you do get a more realistic effect. Now, absolutely 100%, Dee Dee, you want to learn Warhammer painting, you can ask Sammini. I got that. 100%. Like, I forced myself to paint like that when I started, and now I'm unlearning. I'm not going to forget that. I just need to stop being so compulsive about those techniques. Do you guys have any questions for him? Do you want to come back to the
I'll come back a little bit later.
you want to come back to the paint jam? Okay.
Yep.
So you guys, he's going to rejoin us in the paint jam for anybody who wants to rejoin us then. I just take a little break so that I can go stretch and get a little food, give the dog a little attention. Good. Okay. So don't paint yourself into a corner, Dee Dee. In that case, you definitely want this. When I see the high-end display pieces, then that's usually, there's a little more painterly fashion to it. And if we wet blend too much, which is what I tend to do, then it's hard to achieve. Now you can, like I can do skin pretty darn good with all these really super thin layers and glazing it in. But I got to tell you, so you guys, I put if you look at the reason her skin is the way it is now, okay, is because of sitting with Sammini. And even, okay, and I'll be honest with you, I was going to enter her at ReaperCon, the dog nose. And you see right there where that shadow is divided on the chin? Right? Do you see how, now her face is a little more purple because, it's kind of got the cloak going around it. But I was painting her skin and I screwed up her chin. See around her lips, you got to see this. You see that like dark shadow around her lips? It's just like, she looks like she's making duck face, right? Yeah. So I sat down to finish her up and I was under the gun for time and I just kept messing it up. And I was like, you know what? It is not worth it. I am putting it away. I'm going to come back and reassess later because I was fucking it up. Perfect, Dee Dee. That's perfect. Right on. Okay, I'm kind of the same way. Way above tabletop. I found the way I like to paint my Warhammer pieces, and now I've taken to another level. I mean, originally being published was not even a thought, but now that I've seen Sammini do it, I'm like, no, yeah, I want that. So my goals actually got higher, I guess, in knowing him and hanging out with him. And then just to let you guys know, like, I guess you like that, Sammini? Doesn't she kind of look like you're making duck face right there for the camera? Totally screwed that up. And I was like, oh, man. But I did put it down. I heard you in my head. Now, you know how you got there, right? You know how I got there. I got excited and I blended.
Yeah.
Because I was not paying attention in my mind. Because right now I'm still learning that not to blend. I got excited and I was under pressure and I made mud. So does anybody have any questions about this skin and this piece? Anything that you might want to know about products, brushes, anything that you guys have. Like I said, he will be back for our hangout. I don't exactly know when he will show up, but asking questions now is a good time. There's not as many people as will be showing up for the hangout. And sometimes that actually ends up being really quiet. And my bad, you guys, on the last minute shout out. So just mark your calendar, because if I'm not out of town, it's the third Sunday. Always going to be the third Sunday. So if you just mark your calendar, whether that you might not know what is going on. I'm trying to get that together so you guys can paint along, get something you want to paint with us. I'm going to send Sammini a chibi, and that should be fun. I'm very interested in what it, I mean, can you imagine, right? Something like a chibi in the hands of somebody that can paint like he does. What will happen? Don't you think that'll be cool?
Oh, totally messed up.
You're gonna mess it up? No, there's no way. There's no way. It's gonna look, I mean, it's not gonna be cartoon style, but it's gonna be epic. I mean, the thing is that I've seen a lot of really cool chibis. That's a thing I'm working on right now. Also, is that cartoon style and cell shading. All right, then. I guess there's no questions. Everything's coming through. So, okay, I made a new palette, Sammini, for the next part. In the next part, I will have the palette up, and you can just bring your camera up like you did when you were in the hangout before. Or I can actually leave his if you guys want to watch this continue. I can just leave his nice big there. No, because you know what? When all the people get their cameras up, then that would make his smaller. So if you have your own screen, Sammini, then they can click on yours. Yeah, and it can fill their screen. All right, guys. So we'll reconvene in about an hour, and hopefully I will make some dead people's skin on this instead of rock people's skin. Work it. It's okay. We'll call it the ugly phase. I'll get it. I'll get it. All right. I'll see you in about an hour, Sammini. I'll see you guys in about an hour. Okay. Get yourself something to eat, and we will be back. And
So,
do you guys have any questions that you want to leave for Sammini? You can just like in your chat, Sammini, or in the YouTube in the chat.
yeah.
Where would you like it, Sammini?
Yeah.
Where would you, if they come up with a question later, where would you like them to put it?
Oh, they can put it in chat in any other platform.
Okay, just make
Doesn't
sure that you guys put it somewhere where everybody else can see it. Okay? That way it's kind of answering a question for everybody. And Sammini, you have permanent access to our Patreon channels now. So if they put it, so if they put it in Patreon, you have the ability to go in there and post pictures if you want to for updates in their in the chat channel or whatever. Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And then lastly but not leastly, I hope that every one of you that are out there are following Sammini. Right? He just started streaming, so you want to see more of this streams. He has a Facebook page, an Instagram. So if you guys will do the Captain and Kindness, make sure you're following Sammini. That way you'll get the alert when he gets published again. Sammini, is there anything else that you want to add?
No, that was it. We're gonna see
Geek
everybody
TV.
else in an hour or so. I may be late,
It's
so
cool.
I'll be joining later.
Oh, I squirt orange paint over myself. Been on the bottle. I need a bib. Did we get that? So Geek is going to put all of Sammini's link in the chat so you guys can go and confirm that you're following, okay? He's getting pretty close to 100, so there you go, you guys. And then hopefully we will be announcing there's a few people that I need to private message me that are out there. You are already following Sammini when we launched the giveaway for the dice package. Because all the new people, thank you, Sammini, for the list, all the new people we have that followed. And then we need the people that were already following to let me know in a message so we can add you to the dice giveaway.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And actually, yes, that included a 2-hour session with Sammini privately, which is very, very not that's not something that happens. So we will probably focus in on that as a definite promotional. So, let me know if you were already following. We can confirm that. And that's on Twitch. That's where we were looking for those follows, was on Twitch. Thank you, Dan, for following Sammini. And I'll see you guys in about an
Thanks.
hour. Bye. Goodbye. Bye, Sammini.
So see you.
Okay.